All right, hey Camp Highland. My name's Austin. I mean, you probably already knew that. It's probably in the YouTube thing. Uh, but but anyway, so this is my video. I would love to be a Camp Highland counselor, um, and I'd say the reason why I want to work at Camp Highland is actually, I don't know. Something that's really important about me is that I really love to tell stories. So I just thought, I was trying to come up with so many different ridiculous video ideas, and then I just realized, I keep like taking other people's ideas, or it's not as good. It doesn't really portray like what I want to portray, but like, so I thought I'd just tell y'all a story. So today, or on Sunday night, which was 2 days ago, I just got back from this thing called the National Student Leadership Forum in DC, and it was really cool. It was an awesome experience. But one of the things that I had to apply to it, and so one of the questions that they asked me was, tell me about a place that was, or tell me about a time where you felt like you were at home, or where do you feel truly at home, was kind of the question. And it really took me a while to answer that. I was staying up late. I was working on that application. I looked at it and I was like, and I was just thinking more and more about it, like how, like, man, like where do I feel like home? Like I love the school I go to. I go to UGA. That's where I'm at right now. And then I love UGA. I love my campus ministry. I love crew. I love my family. I have an amazing family. I love where I grew up in Roswell. But I don't know. Oh wait, sorry, I misquoted the question. So the question was, where do you feel like you, explain a time where you felt like you belonged, not where felt like home. So the question is, where do you feel like this is where you belong? So I don't know. I grew up in a Christian home and going to Christian school, and and it was great, and I definitely felt at home there, and loved it. But I just thought, and the only thing I can think of was was going to summer camp, and it's for like the application was for this thing called National Student Leadership Forum, which is kind of, I thought it was going to be some really like professional thing, so I was trying to think of something a little bit more insightful than going to summer camp, you know. But really, that was it. So I really felt like I belonged in summer camp. I remember the first camp I went to was actually Camp Highland. So I went to Camp Highland for 2 summers. I remember the first night was it was so funny. I was little. I don't even know if I was in middle school yet. And we get there, and I was so homesick. And my counselor just came over to me, and like it was just after dinner, and I was crying. I was in a rough place. I'm sure y'all encounter this a lot, and my counselor was there. He was super sweet, and he was super nice, and he's like, hey man, like it's okay, like you're gonna like it'll be fine, like you're gonna have a great time, like just trust me, you'll love it. And I was just crying, but like and then I ended up going to bed, and it was fine. I made it. My legs were also cramping, so that didn't help. I was in pain. But there's a bug on my hand. But by the end of the week, man, I loved camp. Like I loved going to Camp Highland. And I ended up going to Camp Highland for 2 years. Then I went to this camp called Camp Keyview in Colorado for about 5 years, actually. And I remember I would roll up to camp. The first day ever at Camp Keyview was I was driving in with my friend Tate. We both went to fellowship together, and then we heard the guy Andy Brainer. He came and talked at our school about just at our chapel, and then also he mentioned his camp. So we're like, okay, let's check it out. So we get there, we pull our cars into the camp, and then all these ridiculously just crazy counselors are just going nuts. They're surrounding our car, banging on the windows, whoa, yeah, we're so happy you're here, yeah, camp, oh, it's gonna be awesome. Like, they're just freaking out. It was amazing. And like, I just remember thinking, I was like, what the heck, like, what am I doing here? And then but man, I fell in love with camp. Like, just going in, I always had such amazing counselors, where these awesome guys who are really walking with the Lord and really helped me to get to know Jesus more, and really focus on like what it actually means to follow Jesus, and really were excellent examples of what that looked like. And I still keep up with my counselors, and I love seeing them. Like, whenever I see them, I just freak out. I just love talking about camp and like reminiscing about camp life with them. But I remember every single year, like after every camp, I would get on the plane, I would come home, and every year after camp, I would cry. I would cry, like leaving camp or like getting on the plane. And then I remember like the last time I went to the last year, the last term of the last summer of Camp Keyview. I remember leaving there, and I cried for like 2 weeks. Like, it was bad. I was a junior in high school too. Like, so I shouldn't have been crying, but man, I just remember like the relationships that I built there, just like the atmosphere that the counselors created, of just, I always felt loved, and I always felt open, and I always felt like everyone was being genuine with me, and I just really felt really at home, and like I really felt like I belonged because of the counselors, and like their example, and their love, and like just how cool and awesome they were, and how much they really loved Jesus and actually followed Jesus. So I remember that, and I ended up crying for 2 weeks, and hadn't been to camp, didn't go to camp the summer after senior year, and then actually this past summer, so my freshman year, so I'm in sophomore right now, and so I just got back from my summer after my freshman year of high school, where I ran my own painting business for this thing called Student Painters, and then, but I remember I was home one weekend during the school year, and I was trying to, or maybe it was at the beginning of the summer, I can't really remember, but I just got back from work. I had been, I don't know, marketing or throwing out flyers or whatever, and I remember taking out the trash or going to get the mail or something, and like these people like across the street like were just having like this ridiculous party. Like, I could hear like all the way down the street. It must have been like 300-400 yards. They're like, the backyard of their house was where everyone was at, like was there, and like they're just like freaking out, having an amazing time. And I was like, wait, like, I was like, what is going on? And so I walk over there. I don't walk to the house, but I realized, oh, that's Mr. Chapman's house. I actually live right next door to them. And so I was like, man. And then one of my friends is Samantha King, so she had like sent us Snapchats from y'all's like staff training, and so I was out there Snapchatting. I was holding my phone up, and I was like videoing. It was like, this is amazing. And then so I just remember hearing all like the counselors and them like doing like staff training and like singing Moana, and I just remembered like how much I loved camp, and how much I really belonged, and like how like the counselors made me feel at the camps that I went to, at Camp Highland, at Camp Keyview, and how amazing they were. And man, I just felt like that's where I needed to be. And I was like, wow, I really wish I was doing camp this summer. And so but I had a great experience with Student Painters, and I really loved all the stuff that I learned through that. But man, I just think like working at a camp would, I don't know, it'd be hard. It's like, and from everyone I talk to, like working at any camp, including Camp Highland, is tough, and like it's mentally and physically exhausting. But I don't know, even like I feel like the work and being like with the kids and being able to create the kind of environment that I loved and I grew up in was, I think me being able to do that would would be more of like my mission and my passion than my job. Uh, and so yeah, and so I guess I talked a little bit about this in my application, but why I want to work at Camp Highland as opposed to a different camp is really because I've talked to a lot of people who worked at camp. So I talked to one of my fellow RAs where I work here at UGA and she worked at a camp, but I hadn't really seen Jesus really any fruit, like a whole lot of fruit in her life. Nothing against her, like she's super sweet, but I don't know, just like the way she talked about camp was like it was more of a burden. And then I talked to like another friend who worked at I don't even remember which camps they worked at, but it was another friend. I was on the bus. We talked for like the whole bus ride, and I walked to her class, and then I walked across campus back to my class just because I love talking about camp. Obviously, we're at the 11-minute mark. But and they loved it, but really what really stood out to me is like the people who have worked at Camp Highland, the people who went to Camp Highland, how positive they were, and how much like their walk with Christ really grew, and then how amazing it was to see God move at Camp Highland. And I went on the crew fall retreat, and that's where I gave my put down my information. And I got there, and I got out of the car, and I was like, man, I love camp. I was like, oh gosh, I really want to be here. But anyway, so I guess that's my story. Maybe it was more of like a little ramble about my camp experience. But yeah, hope it wasn't too boring for you. And I would really love to work at Camp Island. Thanks.